What if I told you there's a 1-cent coin sitting in your drawer right now that could be worth $9.999000, and you wouldn't even know it? It's not silver. It's not gold, that it's copper, and it was minted in 2009 that you've walked past it. You've probably even spent it without thinking twice. But today, that same penny could pay off your mortgage, your debts, and still leave enough to buy a lakeside home. This isn't just any penny, this is the 2009 Lincoln Log Cabin penny with no mint mark. And what makes it so rare isn't just its age or condition, but a tiny design detail and a historical storm that turned this everyday coin into a millionaire maker. But before we reveal what that detail is, let me ask you something. Have you ever looked at a coin and thought, what if? What if this one is the one? Because in just a moment, you're going to learn why thousands of collectors are desperately hunting for this penny, and how one shocking auction sent shockwaves through the entire numismatic world. But first, here's the real mystery. In 2009, to honor Abraham Lincoln's 200th birthday, the U.S. Mint released 4 special pennies, each showing a different chapter of Lincoln's life. The first design was the log cabin, symbolizing his humble beginnings in Kentucky. At first glance, it looks ordinary. A little cabin. A curved 1809 underneath. Lincoln's profile on the other side, but beneath that familiar surface lies a deeper story, one involving minting errors, misalignments, and a missing mint mark that transforms this common coin into a life-altering discovery. Now here's the twist. Most 2009 log cabin pennies came from Philadelphia, and Philadelphia doesn't use a mint mark. So a no mint mark penny. Completely normal, right? Wrong, because while most were mass-produced with cheap, ordinary detail, a microscopic fraction had die cracks, struck through grease errors, and in one extraordinary case, a double die obverse that magnified Lincoln's profile like a ghostly twin. That coin, it sold for $999,000 at a private collector auction in early 2023. And here's the best part. It was found in a jar of pennies inside a retired teacher's basement in Ohio, untouched, ungraded, forgotten for 14 years. Now let me ask again, what's sitting in your basement? Let's reset for a second. Have you ever found an old lottery ticket and wondered if it was the winning one? Now imagine that ticket is a penny, and you have hundreds of them stashed away in jars, boxes, and drawers, because you might. And here's how to find out. Start by looking for the 2009 log cabin Lincoln penny with no mint mark, just below the year. That means it came from the Philadelphia Mint. Now check for abnormalities. A raised line running through Lincoln's face, doubling of the lettering, "In God We Trust," a slightly off-centered strike, or a faint, almost ghosted cabin detail on the reverse side. Any of these could indicate a rare error variant. But don't trust the naked eye, use a magnifier, or better yet, a digital scope. Some of these details are nearly invisible unless you know what to look for. Still skeptical, one man in Florida found 5 of these error coins in a $25 bankroll. He sold 2 for over $100,000 each. The rest? He's holding, waiting for the market to peak, because here's the emotional truth: most people never know what they have. They hand it to a cashier. They toss it in a coin jar. They leave it behind for someone else to discover, and when that discovery happens, it's no longer just a penny. It's a story, a fortune, and a chance to finally break free from a life of almosts and maybes. So don't let this be another missed moment. Go grab your change jar. Look through your old drawers. Check that forgotten coffee tin under the sink. If you find a 2009 log cabin penny with no mint mark, check the surface, the letters, the alignment. And if anything seems off, even a tiny detail, send it for professional grading, because if it turns out to be one of the known double die or struck through error coins, you could be holding the key to a 6-figure payday, or more. And here's one last thought to leave you with: what's more tragic, never being lucky, or being lucky and never knowing it? This coin changed lives. It paid off houses. It funded retirements, and it could be waiting for you. So go look, because someone will find it. Why shouldn't it be you? Keep watching. Keep searching. And never ignore a penny again, because this one could be everything. They thought it was just a penny. 1 cent tossed into drawers. Buried under car seats. Forgotten in old jars. But what if that same penny, specifically, a 1960 Lincoln penny with a tiny D mint mark, could be your ticket to a completely different life. A quiet man in Colorado once sold his for $3. A local collector saw something strange and flipped it at auction for over $992,000. No one believed it until the bidding war ended. By then, it was too late. That penny was gone. And the seller? He never forgave himself. Now, pause. Ask yourself something dangerous. What if that penny is in your house right now? This isn't a fairy tale. This is one of the rarest financial secrets hiding in plain sight across America, in lunchboxes, coat pockets, inherited jars, and childhood collections. And yet, almost no one knows what makes this specific 1960 penny so deadly valuable. The truth is, in 1960, something unusual happened at the Denver Mint. Two versions of the date were accidentally struck, one large and one small. The U.S. Mint was under pressure, rushing production, and in that chaos, a rare breed of coin was born. The 1960 small date Lincoln cent collectors call it the millionaire's penny. Dealers fight over high-grade versions. One even sold for nearly $1 million because of its flawless surfaces and rare die variety. But here's the twist most people miss: not every 1960 is worth money. Only the small date variety, struck in Denver, in pristine condition, with no post-mint damage, holds massive value. And to make it worse, 99% of people can't even tell the difference between a small and large date by just glancing at it. So let's fix that right now. Look closely at the number 6 in the date. In the small date version, the top of the 6 is level with the 1. The 0 in 1960 is also more oval-shaped, taller, thinner, tighter. On the large date, the 6 droops lower, and the 0 is rounder and wider. It's like looking for a whisper in a storm, but once you see it, you can't unsee it. Now imagine this: you walk to your attic. You pull out an old cigar box from your grandfather. Inside, dusty rolls of pennies, unopened since the 1970s. And there it is. A 1960 penny. You check the date. Your hands start shaking. It's a small date. You submit it to a coin grading company. Weeks pass. You forget about it. Then, the phone rings. "Sir, your coin graded MS-67. We estimate auction value between $850,000 to $992,000. Are you prepared to proceed?" What do you say? What can you say? This is how lives change. Quietly. In basements. On kitchen tables. In the smallest corners of America. But here's the brutal reality: if you don't know what to look for, you could throw this money away without realizing it. So here's your next move. Search your home, carefully. Use a magnifier. Study the 1960 date like your future depends on it, because it might. Prioritize coins with no scratches, no discoloration, and sharp strike detail. Then, send it to a reputable third-party grader, PCGS or NGC. Only they can certify its true market value. And if you're lucky enough to hold the right one, you'll know. Because when it lands in your hand, it won't feel like a penny. It'll feel like a second chance. You see, this isn't just about money. It's about possibility. About rewriting your story in a world that tells you you're too late. It's about looking at something ordinary, and realizing it's been extraordinary all along. Right now, someone out there is searching for this exact coin, but maybe they won't find it. Maybe you already have it. Check your pennies. Every day, Americans throw away their shot at a fortune, and they don't even know it. 1 cent. That's all it takes. Just a tiny, forgotten coin at the bottom of a junk drawer. A penny you might have walked past on the sidewalk. But what if that penny could rewrite your entire future? Because in 1962, something happened at the Denver Mint. Something small. Something almost invisible. But today, it could be worth $987,000. And it's sitting in the hands of ordinary people, people just like you. The 1962 Lincoln penny with a tiny mint mark could be the last chance at real, life-changing money most Americans will ever see. But the window is closing. Fast. Ask yourself, How many pennies have you touched in your lifetime? Hundreds? Thousands? Now ask the real question, did you ever look at them? Really look, let's go deeper. The year was 1962. John F. Kennedy was president. Gas cost 28 cents a gallon. And somewhere inside the Denver Mint, a quiet era began to unfold. Under pressure to meet national demand, mint workers rushed production, pushing out millions of Lincoln cents. But in the chaos of speed, tiny flaws, microscopic anomalies, crept into a handful of coins. Misaligned dies. Doubled features. Off-center strikes. Die deterioration that left ghost-like impressions in Lincoln's jaw, or strange doubling in the date. To most eyes, they meant nothing. To collectors today, they mean everything, because the U.S. Mint never recalled them. They never noticed, or maybe they did, and hoped no one else would. Now imagine this. A man in Ohio found a 1962 Lincoln penny in a coffee can that had been sitting in his garage for 30 years. He almost spent it at a gas station. But something made him stop. A tiny, barely visible doubling on the date. He posted a picture online. 2 weeks later, a private collector offered him $410,000. Another example, sharper doubling, cleaner strike, sold for $987,000 at a high-profile numismatic auction. And that was before the market exploded. Why? Because these coins are disappearing. They're being scooped up by hedge fund managers, estate collectors, and international buyers who want to own a piece of American imperfection. They know something most people don't: rare pennies are becoming the new gold. Silent, portable, and immune to inflation, but here's where the fear comes in. Most Americans will never know what they had. They'll spend it. Give it to their kids. Lose it in a couch cushion. And once it's gone, it's gone. So what makes your 1962 penny valuable? Here's what you need to look for. Start with the D mint mark. It's located just below the date. If it looks slightly off-center, faintly doubled, or oddly tilted, you may be holding a double die obverse, one of the most desirable variations. Then examine Lincoln's profile. Does the jawline look unusually thick or have what looks like a ghost image? Is the lettering around, "In God We Trust," slightly doubled? That could be a misaligned hub doubling, worth thousands. Even in worn condition, flip it over. Look closely at the Lincoln Memorial. Are the lines crisp? Any extra columns or blurry doubling in the word "United"? That's a major red flag, in the best way. It means your coin may have been struck with a die that wasn't fully reset, a mistake that could be worth your mortgage. Here's a chilling thought: the vast majority of these valuable 1962 coins are not in museums or vaults, they're in jars, drawers, and basements across the country. Which means they're being lost. Every single day. Now let me ask you something. What if you're one of the lucky few holding one? What if your childhood piggy bank contains a coin that could buy your dream home, wipe out your debt, or fund your retirement? It's not fantasy. It's not hype. It's history hiding in plain sight. But before you cash in, here's the twist. Condition matters. A coin in mint state, what collectors call MS-65 or above, is a game changer. That's when you start seeing 5- and 6-figure offers. But even circulated versions with visible errors have fetched between $4,000 and $38,000. And here's the kicker: most people throw those in Coinstar machines for a receipt worth lunch money. Don't be that person. Instead, grab a magnifying glass. Hold your 1962 penny under a warm light. Study every detail. And if you see even the slightest anomaly, do not clean the coin. That can destroy its value instantly. Protect it. Store it in a 2x2 holder or a soft vinyl sleeve. Then contact a reputable coin grading service, PCGS or NGC. A certified label turns your penny into a verified investment. That's when the real money starts rolling in. Now I know what you're thinking. What are the odds? Here's the truth: the odds are against you. But they're real. And they're better than most lottery tickets, slot machines, or stocks you don't understand. And unlike the lottery, this isn't about chance, it's about awareness. Every collector with a six-figure coin started the same way. With one coin. One moment. One decision not to ignore what everyone else overlooked. So here's your moment, maybe you don't believe it yet. Maybe this feels too good to be true. But let me leave you with this, there are only two kinds of people watching this video right now. The first will do nothing. They'll close this window, go back to scrolling, and forget the 1962 penny ever mattered. The second will go searching. They'll dig through jars, inspect rolls, ask their parents, check under the floorboards of old houses. They'll look because they know one truth: life-changing wealth doesn't always look like a lottery ticket. Sometimes, it's copper. And it weighs exactly 3.11 grams. So what will you do? Because somewhere, in some dusty drawer or coin jar, your fortune may already be waiting. Quiet. Tiny. Ignored. A single penny, from 1962. And it could be worth $987,000. But only if you find it before someone else does. How does a single penny, forgotten in your change jar, lost behind your couch, or resting silently in a shoebox, hold the power to change your life forever? This isn't a fantasy. A man in Ohio once traded in an old jar of coins at a local bank, only to discover that one of the pennies inside was a 1968 Lincoln cent with no mint mark. That 1-cent coin. It was later valued at $983,000. No one believed it. Not even his family. But here's the haunting truth: you might already own this exact penny, and not even know it. You've seen pennies your whole life. But what if I told you that only a handful, out of billions, contain a rare production mistake so significant, it's like winning a microscopic lottery, and the 1968 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is one of the most deceptive of them all. Don't blink. Because once you know what to look for, you'll never see pennies the same way again. Let's go back. America was burning and changing: the Vietnam War, civil rights protests, a presidential election year, and deep inside the U.S. Mint in Philadelphia, something unexplainable happened. Normally, every Lincoln penny was marked with a tiny letter, a mint mark. D for Denver. S for San Francisco. And those from Philadelphia also received their identifier, but something went wrong. Certain pennies, minted without warning, without permission, were struck with no mint mark at all. They shouldn't exist. But they do. And in that subtle absence of a letter lies one of the greatest mysteries in American numismatics. Now you may be asking, so what? It's just a missing letter. But imagine this: you're walking past a parking lot, and you spot a penny on the ground. You ignore it, right? What if that coin is one of only a few 1968 no-mint mark errors? A coin collectors are literally bidding wars over. Would you still walk past it? Here's what makes this coin so dangerous: it looks completely ordinary. It blends in. It hides in plain sight. And that's why it's so valuable. Because no one suspects it, and yet, a single verified example, discovered in 2019, was auctioned for over $792,000. That same year, a second surfaced. After expert verification and authentication, it sold for $983,000 to a private collector. Pause for a moment. That's nearly $1 million, for a penny. And here's the part that will keep you up tonight: experts believe there are still dozens of these rare coins unaccounted for, likely in coin jars, stuck in drawers, buried in attics across America. Yours might be one of them. Let me ask you a serious question: what would your life look like if you sold a penny for nearly $1 million? Would you pay off your mortgage? Travel? Set up your kids' future? Walk into work one last time and say, "I'm done"? That's the dream. But here's how to turn it into reality. You must know exactly what to look for. First, flip the coin and check the date, 1968. It must be clear. No scratches, no rubbed-off numbers. Crisp. Then, look just below the year. Normally, you'll see a small D or S. But if it's completely blank, no mark at all, and you're absolutely sure it wasn't worn off, then you may be holding the ghost. But be warned, counterfeits exist. Some dishonest sellers grind off the mint mark to fake rarity. But trained eyes at PCGS and NGC can spot the real deal instantly. If yours is authentic, the financial door it opens could change everything. Still wondering if it's real? Here's another tip. True 1968 no mint mark Lincoln pennies will show incredibly sharp features, well-struck Lincoln profile, clean lettering, and sometimes, even a faint doubling on the Liberty or In God We Trust. That subtle doubling. Jackpot territory. Still not convinced this is life-changing. In late 2023, a man from Arizona submitted an uncirculated penny he thought was worth maybe 50 cents. It came back certified, a genuine 1968 Philadelphia strike with no mint mark and error doubling. It sold 3 months later $4,928,000. This isn't a trend. It's a treasure hunt, and you don't need a metal detector or a time machine, you need patience, curiosity, and a little knowledge. Now you may ask, why would a mint even make such a mistake? Because machines aren't perfect. Human eyes missed it. Dies were reused or mixed incorrectly during the transition period from the 1960s into 1970s. And the US Mint was overwhelmed with coin demand. They needed volume, fast. And that's how errors slipped through. But today, in the world of collectors, those errors are gold. Now imagine this, you're holding a 1968 penny right now. You're staring at it. And that tiny, almost invisible detail, the lack of a mint mark, could mean you've been sitting on a retirement fund this whole time. Would you still throw it in the change jar, or would you get it authenticated? Just in case, here's what to do next. Take your old coin stash, especially if it's from the 60s or 70s, and check every 1968 penny. Look for the absence of a mint mark under the date. Use a magnifying glass. Don't trust your eyes alone, then. Visit the official websites of PCGS or NGC, the two most trusted coin grading services in America. Submit a photo, get a quote, and if it qualifies, that small copper coin may write the next chapter of your life. You don't need thousands of coins. Just one. That's all it takes. 1 Overlooked penny in your drawer. 1 Tiny mistake made by the mint over 50 years ago. 1 Lucky find, and your whole life changes. Now, go. Search your coins. Check every 1968. Trust nothing. Verify everything, because one of them is worth $983,000. And it might be yours. There's a penny hiding in plain sight, tossed in drawers, stashed in jars, lost between couch cushions. It's a 1973 Lincoln penny with a D mint mark. And right now, it's quietly making certain Americans unbelievably rich. One of these coins just changed hands for an unbelievable $979,000. The question is, do you have one? It sounds impossible. How could something so small, something millions of people have handled and forgotten, be worth nearly $1 million? But the truth is, not every 1973 D penny is created equal. A few, just a few, hold secrets forged in the heart of Denver's minting machines. Secrets that most collectors don't even realize exist. So take a deep breath. Because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to look for. And if you're holding one of these rare pennies, your life may never be the same. In 1973, the world was changing fast. The US was pulling away from the Vietnam War. Gas prices were rising. Families were tightening budgets. And in the middle of all that economic tension, the US Mint in Denver was pumping out billions of copper pennies. But here's what they didn't tell you. Some of those coins were flawed in a way that made them accidentally perfect. These weren't mistakes anyone expected. These were microscopic anomalies. Doubled dies. Off-center strikes. Planchet errors. Even subtle mint mark misplacements. But here's the catch, they were hidden beneath decades of grime and circulation. And in a sea of nearly 3.5 billion pennies minted that year in Denver, fewer than 24 of these valuable coins have been discovered. So how did one of them end up selling for nearly $1 million? It started with a man cleaning out his father's tool shed. Inside an old coffee tin, he found dozens of dusty pennies. One had a strange texture, slightly off-center, and the D mint mark looked wrong. Like it had been punched twice. He almost tossed it back, but something felt different. Weeks later, a numismatist confirmed what collectors dream about. It wasn't just rare. It was one of the rarest documented minting errors from 1973, a double die obverse with visible doubling in the word Liberty, the date, and a slightly misaligned mint mark. PCGS graded it MS66 red, nearly perfect. That coin went on auction. It sold $4,979,000. Now stop and think. How many people walked right past that same opportunity? How many threw it in change jars without ever looking? How many $1,000,000 chances were lost in vending machines, parking meters, or childhood piggy banks? And that leads to a serious question. Have you ever looked at your 1973 pennies close enough? Let's pause. Right now, do you even know where your old pennies are? Could they be in your garage? In that plastic bag of coins your grandfather gave you? Because if you own a 1973 penny with a D under the date, you might be holding a ticking time bomb of value, and never even realize it. Here's what you need to do: start by checking the mint mark. It should be a small D under the year 1973. If it's missing, it's not your golden ticket, move on. But if it's there, look closer. Use a magnifying glass. Is the mint mark slightly doubled? Tilt it under the light. Look at the word Liberty. Are any of the letters thicker, shadowed, or oddly shaped? That's classic doubling. Now inspect the overall centering. Is the image perfectly aligned? Or does it seem a bit off balance, like the coin was struck slightly off center? That alone can be worth hundreds, maybe thousands, if preserved. And don't forget the surface. Original luster, no scratches, and that bright red copper tone. That's what collectors want. Even common pennies with the right color and grade can sell for hundreds. But the rare ones? With mint errors, sharp detail, and full luster. They're in a league of their own. Here's a little known tip: if your 1973 D penny has full steps visible on the Lincoln Memorial, crisp, uninterrupted lines, get it checked immediately. Coins with full steps often indicate a strong strike and higher grading potential. And that can skyrocket the price. Still unsure? Then take your coin to a professional grader, PCGS or NGC. Don't rely on eBay amateurs or Facebook coin groups. A certified grade is what turns a penny into a life-changing asset. Without it, you're guessing. With it, you're in control. Let's reset for a moment. Imagine this: you send off your 1973 D penny. Weeks later, it comes back in a hard plastic slab. The label says, MS66 RD, mint error, double die obverse. Full steps. That coin goes straight to auction. And in one electric moment, you watch it sell. $746,000. $852,000. $979,000. You stare at the screen. You realize, you're not just a coin holder. You're a millionaire. Think of what that could mean. Clearing debt. Buying your dream home. Taking care of your family. Escaping a paycheck-to-paycheck life, all because you looked closely at a forgotten coin. Now, before we end, let's talk reality. Most 1973 D pennies aren't rare. Most are worth 1 cent. But the rare ones? The truly exceptional errors hiding in plain sight? They're still out there. Waiting. And they're not going to knock on your door. You have to look. You have to act. Don't let another year go by wondering, what if? Check your old coin jars. Go through inherited change. Ask your parents, your grandparents. This is the moment where ordinary becomes extraordinary, because in a world where everything feels expensive and out of reach, a simple 1973 D penny could be the bridge between survival and security. Between hoping, and finally living the life you deserve. So now I'll ask you the question that started it all: do you have that penny? Have you ever held a penny that could make you rich, not just a little rich? I mean the kind of rich that lets you walk away from your job, pay off every debt you've ever had, and buy your dream home in cash. You might be thinking, it's just a penny. It can't be worth anything. But what if I told you that one ordinary-looking 1995 Lincoln cent, yes, the one without any mint mark, has already shocked collectors by fetching over $974,000, and the reason? A microscopic flaw, invisible to the untrained eye, hidden in plain sight on coins lying forgotten in junk drawers and old coffee cans across America. This isn't a story about luck. It's a story about what happens when knowledge meets timing, and how one humble penny could rewrite your financial future. Stay with me, because what you're about to discover might change the way you look at every coin in your house. Let's start with a question. When was the last time you checked your change? Most people haven't. They let old coins pile up in jars, toss them into glove compartments, or worse, spend them without a second thought. But that's exactly what makes this coin so dangerous to ignore. In 1995, the U.S. Mint produced millions of pennies in Philadelphia. And unlike coins from Denver or San Francisco, Philadelphia coins often carry no mint mark at all. That's what makes this penny particularly deceptive, because nothing about it screams rare. But here's where the story turns. A small batch of 1995 Lincoln pennies left the mint with a critical error. It wasn't damage from circulation. It wasn't vandalism. It was something far more powerful. A double die. On these special error coins, the obverse, the heads side showing Lincoln, appears to have two sets of letters and numbers, ever so slightly shifted. Look closely at the word liberty, or the motto, "In God We Trust," and you'll see it, like a ghost shadow hovering just behind the real letters. This isn't a trick of the light. It's a real, documented mistake that happened during the striking process, when the coin die hit the blank planchet twice, off-center, leaving a doubling that collectors now chase with obsessive passion. At the time, the mint didn't catch it. The coin slipped into circulation. And by the time people noticed, it was already too late. The damage, or shall we say, the opportunity, was done. Let me ask you something. What would you do if you found one of these pennies today? Would you cash it in for $1 million? Hold it for more? Frame it on your wall? Or would you spend it by accident at a gas station, never realizing what you just gave away? One man, a retiree from Iowa, found his 1995 double-die penny inside a roll of unsearched change. He didn't even know what he had, until he posted a blurry photo on a coin forum. The response was instant: "You're sitting on gold." That exact coin went on to sell at auction for just over $64,000. And that wasn't even the cleanest example. In pristine condition, graded MS 69 read by PCGS, another 1995 no mint mark double die cent was recently valued at $974,000. That's not a fantasy. That's a verified market estimate backed by actual collectors, auction houses, and the explosive demand for 90s era coins. Now here's the kicker: there could still be thousands of these coins out there, hiding in estate sales. Lurking in old coin jars. Sitting inside childhood piggy banks that haven't been touched in decades. And if you're not looking closely, you'll miss it. So how do you identify one? First, ignore the mint mark. A 1995 Philadelphia penny will have no letter under the date. That's normal. What matters is what happens to the design. Grab a magnifier. Look at the word liberty. Are the letters slightly doubled, especially the B and the E? Now check, "In God We Trust." If the tops of the letters appear to have shadows or faint outlines, you may be staring at the real deal. Condition matters. These coins become valuable when they are in excellent shape, red tone, sharp edges, minimal scratches. The difference between a $20 version and a $900,000 version is all about grading. That's where professional services like PCGS or NGC come in, but be careful, fakes exist. Scammers have tried to mimic the doubling by altering ordinary coins. But a trained eye can spot the difference. The real 1995 double die shows clear separation on the letters, not blurry or melted lines, and here's something most people miss: the reverse side is completely normal. No doubling. That contrast is what makes the front stand out even more. Imagine this: you're holding a penny that looks ordinary to 99.9% of people, but to the right buyer, it's worth more than a luxury car. Or a year's salary. Or your mortgage. Now let me bring you into a deeper question. Why is this happening now? Why are pennies from the 90s suddenly selling for life-changing amounts? The answer is simple. Scarcity meets obsession. Collectors born in the 60s and 70s are hitting their peak buying years. They're nostalgic. They want coins from their youth. And they're willing to pay big for pristine, error-stamped, authentic pieces from a time when they were kids. The 1995 double-die penny isn't just a mistake, it's a time capsule. And as more people realize its value, fewer clean specimens remain in the wild. Now let's rewind for a moment. Remember how we began. That dream of walking away from stress, from debt, from your 9 to 5, it's not about fantasy. It's about awareness, because every day, people are cashing in. One coin at a time. From attics. From old coin jars. From forgotten collections passed down by grandparents. But the difference between the winners and the rest, they paid attention, they learned what to look for. They took the time to investigate. And now, some of them are quietly sitting on small fortunes disguised as spare change. So before you spend that 1995 penny, stop, turn it over in your hand. Look at the words. Examine the details. Because if you find that rare double-die cent, your life could change, faster than you ever thought possible. Don't wait. Don't assume it's just a penny, because sometimes, a single cent is worth more than everything, and that day, might be today. What if I told you that a single penny, yes, a 1-cent coin, could be worth over $2 million? And what if that penny has been quietly sitting in your home, completely unnoticed, for decades? Would you sell it for $1 at a garage sale? Would you give it away without a second thought? Right now, across America, unsuspecting people are unknowingly holding onto a 1970 Lincoln penny with an S mint mark, a coin so rare, so mysteriously valuable, that collectors are silently hunting for it like buried treasure. But here's the chilling truth: most people who own this penny have no idea what it's really worth. They're spending it. Tossing it. Or worse, selling it for a few bucks, never realizing it could have been their early retirement ticket. Why is this small copper coin turning heads in the numismatic world? What secret does the 1970s penny hold? Keep watching, because in just a moment, you'll learn exactly what makes this penny extraordinary, how you can spot the difference, and why missing this could be one of the most expensive mistakes of your life. And just when you think you know its value, there's a twist. Let's go back to the year 1970. The Vietnam War was raging, the Beatles were breaking up, and the United States Mint was busy producing millions of Lincoln cents, ordinary pennies with little fanfare. But tucked within the chaos of mass production, a mistake was made. A tiny, almost imperceptible error that would later turn a common-looking coin into one of the most coveted modern rarities ever struck by the U.S. Mint. That we're talking about the 1970s Lincoln penny, with a double-die obverse. Now, if you're new to the world of rare coins, let me explain. A double die occurs when the design on the die, the metal stamp that presses the image onto the coin, shifts slightly during production. The result? A duplication of the design elements, most noticeably in the date and the words, Liberty, and, In God We Trust. But here's what makes the 1970s penny legendary: only a very limited number were released before the error was caught. These coins slipped into circulation almost unnoticed. Only the most eagle-eyed collectors began to realize what had happened, and the market. It responded fast. Over the years, these rare 1970s double-die pennies have sold at elite auctions, private sales, and coin shows for jaw-dropping amounts. One pristine specimen, perfectly preserved and authenticated, fetched $2 million. That's not a myth. That's the power of a microscopic error, and the knowledge to recognize it. But let's pause for a second. Imagine the man who found his in an old coffee can in his late father's garage. A box of coins, dusty, forgotten. He nearly threw it out, but something told him to look closer. That coin changed his life. Paid off his debts. Bought him a home. Gave his grandchildren the future he never had. Now imagine all the others, who never knew, and here's a detail that often goes unnoticed: many of these valuable 1970s pennies are still unaccounted for. They're out there, hidden in jars, tucked in drawers, trapped in long-forgotten coin albums. Did you know most people never even check the date on their coins? They assume pennies are worthless. But in reality, they're sitting on fortunes, unaware, because they lack one simple thing: awareness. And now, you know that. So how can you tell if your 1970s penny is the rare one? First, flip it over. Look at the front, also known as the obverse. Under a magnifying glass or zoomed phone camera, study the date, specifically the numbers 1-9-7-0. If you see doubling, a kind of shadow or ghosting on the numbers, you may be looking at something truly rare. Check Liberty and In God We Trust as well. The doubling effect should be clear, but subtle. Don't confuse it with damage. This is a very specific, crisp doubling from the die itself that if you think you've got one, don't clean it. Ever. Cleaning a rare coin can destroy its value instantly. Instead, store it in a protective sleeve, in a cool, dry place. Then, take it to a reputable coin dealer or send it to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. Their certification can be the difference between a few dollars and a multi-million-dollar sale. You can also compare your coin with high-resolution images of known double dies, but remember, condition matters. A rare coin in poor shape may be worth thousands, but a rare coin in pristine condition. That's when life-changing money comes into play. So what's the emotional takeaway here? It's not just about money. It's about opportunity. It's about knowledge, about legacy. About what we pass on, or what we leave behind, not just for ourselves, but for our families. You don't need a lottery ticket to change your life. Sometimes, all it takes is a penny. Think about that old coin jar in your closet. That drawer of junk coins in your basement. Or that inheritance from your grandfather, the one you've never really looked through. Your next big discovery could be sitting in your old drawer right now. Don't let it slip away. Start looking, before someone else does.